Philosophy is questions that may never be answered. Religion is answers that may never be questioned. Morris Klein wrote Mathematics in Western Culture, where he argued mathematics influenced everything from philosophy to politics back in 1953. This was certainly true with the Greek philosophers back in classical Greek times, from 600 to about Alexander the Great times. The Greeks certainly seemed cognizant of logical proof like no culture before them. Mathematics certainly existed long before the Greeks, but the Greek mathematicians were aware of mathematics as an abstraction. The Greek understanding of abstraction was to be the extent of humanity's understanding of the origin and nature of mathematics for sure. As John D. Barrow said in his Pie in the Sky book, the philosophy of mathematics hasn't advanced since Greek times. The classical Greeks are also famous for philosophy. It's almost as if the love of learning started with the Greeks. This can't be true, but the fact is that the Greek philosophical literature is the first-hand account of people thinking about knowledge. We don't know the names of the mathematicians if not philosophers of the Babylonians or Egyptians or other cultures. What is philosophy? Diogenes Laertius in the 300 AD times listed the divisions of philosophy: natural philosophy, moral and metaphysical. Sextus Empiricus also agrees with these divisions. In the Philosophy Wiki, the branches of philosophy are aesthetics, ethics, epistemology, metaphysics, logic, mind and language, philosophy of science, political philosophy, philosophy of religion, and a new one for me, metaphilosophy. This philosophy understanding of knowledge really symbolizes how a lot people think about what good, beauty, and even truth is. The God believers will say, God, Jesus is truth. They can't solve one mathematical equation, or even one outstanding mathematics or scientific problem, much less engineering the creation of a bridge or an airplane or anything else, by saying, abracadabra, God, Jesus is truth. Another observation is that as mathematical science advances, what was once philosophy is now a science. What has not been conquered by mathematical science is still philosophy. What we don't know is considered by some philosophy. A third observation of the branches of philosophy is that things like epistemology and philosophy of science are trying to define and figure out what knowledge is and how to go about it. This, when mathematics has always been there. And, this is the point certainly of Morris Klein in his Mathematics in Western Culture. Before the Greeks, philosophy filled this role of an algebraic X standing for I don't know, and trying to figure out what knowledge was and how to go about it. There was mythology and gods. I show that Jacob Bronowski's Origins of Knowledge and Imagination goes beyond the Greeks. And, I show that by means of studying mythology as some kind of knowledge, we can see how people think before prehistoric times. In fact, I go all the way back to Australopithecines' day. Some quotes that symbolize for me what I accomplish in my gospel of truth, mathematics as the holistic viewpoint. Whatever may be one's opinion as to the simplicity of either the laws or the material structures of nature, there can be no question that the possessors of such conviction have a real advantage in the race for physical discovery. Doubtless, there are many simple connections still to be discovered, and he who has a strong conviction of the existence of these simple connections is much more likely to find them than he who is not at all sure that they are there. Percy Bridgman, page 207 of his Philosophy of Physics book. To discover something in mathematics is to overcome an inhibition and a tradition. You cannot move forward if you are not subversive. Laurent Schwartz in 1969, there was a 2-hour-long astronomy video called The Violent Universe. It showed the astronomical violence of the latest understanding of just about every phenomenon of the universe, from stellar flares of the Sun to pulsars, supernova, and the Big Bang Theory. The Violent Universe video ends with some thoughts from Philip Morrison. He relates the competing scientific theories with past universe origin stories. Specifically, he starts with the Arizona Native Americans, who call themselves the Tohono O'odham people. They believe that Ababokivari Peak is the axis of the universe. Philip Morrison describes the Tohono O'odham, and really all pre-science cosmologies, as provincial. Kind of like how people used to think the Earth was flat, people made up their cosmologies provincially, based on the only land they knew. Philip Morrison goes on to mention that certain patterns have a certain time reality to them. The pattern of atoms of the plant he picked up only existed for a few years. The atoms that make up the pattern of himself can only be around for a few tens of years. The pattern of atoms of the rock that he picks up can trace that creation millions of years. The atoms can go back to the beginning of the universe. The theory that would go into describing each of these patterns becomes more simple, more general, the further back in time it goes. Provincial ideas are conditioned ideas. And most people are conditioned, from their accents to their ideas. Even St. Augustine pointed out that people believe because of what culture they are born to. The former city loved its founder, and therefore believed him to be a god, the latter believed Christ to be God, and therefore loved him. This is in St. Augustine's City of God, chapter 22-6. The idea of going from provincial and concrete ideas, whose reality is so limited to more general, timeless ideas is what mathematicians call abstraction. To go from our conditioned ideas to abstract ideas is like overcoming flat earth ideas. I like 1 Samuel chapter 2 verse 8 for proof of flat earth in the Bible. There's a lot of such passages. For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and he hath set the world upon them. I liken overcoming flat earth ideas to how one can see a pattern in a stream or waterfall. Most people view a stream or a waterfall and see chaos. But, if you pick a point and follow it down at the same speed, one can see a simple pattern falling all the way down. This is a bit like what they teach how modern science works. Kind of like launching a rocket, and varying the angle of launch, but keeping the same power of each rocket launch allows you to map out where the rocket is going to land. Scientists make a Cartesian graph, keep one variable the same, and watch the other variables change, gives you an equation of the behavior of the system. Going from concrete, conditioned ideas to abstract ideas is much the same. More on this below. As far as we can tell, only one species on Earth has gone down this road of abstract scientific ideas. I show this progression from provincial ideas to scientific in my Gospel of Truth. Mankind is the science and technologically dependent species. We are defined and distinguished from other life by this dependence. Some will argue that beavers make dams, spiders make webs, birds make nests, bees make nests. Maybe so, but none of them has the type of language humans use, and none of them produces art and mathematics. How did we get this way?